In today's episode, we look at the 8 most interesting items I sold on eBay in the last week, and it starts right now. What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to another midweek What Sold on eBay recap episode of Galaxy CDs, Rocks, and Flips. If this is your first time stumbling on the channel, my name is Ryan, and I am a full-time reseller, part-time YouTuber, and podcaster working out of my home here in the Batcave in the greater Cincinnati area, and this channel is all about the flip life. As I mentioned, this is the midweek episode where I recap some of the more interesting things I've sold in the last week out of my eBay store. Most weeks, I've got to cut this thing down to get it to 12 or 15 items. This week, I could only come up with 8. That doesn't mean I had a bad week. If you caught the Sunday podcast, last week was actually pretty good, but it was a lot of low-dollar items. My average selling price was probably not that great last week, but the money all worked out in the end. I just had a lot of little shipments. So with that, let's get stuck right in to what sold on eBay. All right, first up, a really interesting old 1927 advertising piece from the Encyclopedia Britannica company for a set called The Pageant of Humanity in the Works of Charles Dickens. This was an ad brochure that probably was sent out with another set of books highlighting this Dickens collection that the Encyclopedia Britannica company had put out. Old advertising stuff, flyers, pamphlets, brochures, cards, posters, all of that stuff does really, really well. If you've ever watched The Auction Professor, he talks about old ad cards and stuff all the time. They can bring pretty decent money. They're not necessarily fast sellers, but if you've been with this channel for a while, you know I'm all about the long tail stuff. This is an item that I got in that 2,500 book lot. I listed it a few weeks ago for $19.99 or best offer, sold it for full price with free shipping, and it is on its way. This next item was a really cool piece. If you follow me on Instagram, shameless plug, at Galaxy CDs Rocks, I highlighted this over the weekend. I listed this, I think, Saturday morning and sold it Saturday afternoon. Christmas with Colonel Sanders, a Kentucky Fried Chicken vinyl sampler Christmas album. This came out in 1969. It's in a nice gatefold LP sleeve, was in really nice shape. Featured people like Chet Atkins, Charlie Pride, Lorne Greene, of all people. It was a really interesting collection of Christmas music that must have been a giveaway for Kentucky Fried Chicken back in 1969. So really interesting piece going to a new home this week. The first CD this week, this was a really interesting old blues thing from 1999. I've not ever heard of this guy. Bob Corritore, I believe is how it's pronounced. All-Star Blues Sessions. This is from the big 8,000 CD lot that I talk about pretty much every week on this midweek recap. So I own this for about 3.5 cents. It sold for $21.99 with free shipping. Next up, really cool old book from 1890, Poems and Ballads by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I've actually sold this book a couple of times and had people, for whatever reason, not pay for it. So it was in quite a bit of demand, but not enough that anybody actually paid until finally this weekend, somebody bought it and actually paid for it. So this is on its way out. This was from the big 2,500 book lot. So I own this for about a quarter. It went for $25 with free shipping on a best offer. I think I had it listed for $29.99. Another book, also from that big lot, Reflections on the Revolution in France by Edmund Burke. This is part of the Classics of Liberty library. This came out in 1992. Really, really good condition, leather bound, still had the little ribbon for the bookmark. Really cool piece. This sold for full price at $24.99 with free shipping. Another one that I own for a quarter. I talked about last week that you can occasionally sell books that are in pretty bad condition. Here's another example of that. This is a book that is from 1809. It's the Richard Snowden History of North and South America from its discovery. I put this up at auction. I think I started it at $10 because the cover, you can't really tell from this picture. It was hanging on by a thread. I took this picture, I moved it to take the next picture, and the cover literally fell off. So nice. So I just kept taking pictures and I showed it with the cover hanging off of it, and I showed it with the cover completely off. I disclosed all of that in the description, which you can see on the screen. I say very clearly it has significant damage, front cover loose, staining throughout, along with foxing and tanning. This book was pretty rough. Got 6 bids starting from $9.99. It went all the way up to $28 with free shipping. It's not a huge win. It's a book I owned for a quarter. Better certainly than throwing it away because it was in bad shape. It was worth taking a shot on it. And in this case, it sold. If you're not familiar with foxing, I may have talked about this previously, but it's the little brown spots that you get typically if a book has been exposed, especially to moisture. So tanning of the pages is just when they start to go a little brown. In a lot of cases, you'll see it mostly around the edges. These pages were dark, dark tan. This thing was worn out, but it still brought $28. This was a fascinating book, The Picturesque Egypt from 1885. This was volume 1. Tons of really cool illustrations from that era of kind of ancient Egypt and the Sphinx and the pyramids and all the rest of it. Really, really cool. This would have been worth, I think, considerably more money, but this is another one that was in pretty rough condition. The cover was pulling away from the spine. The last handful of pages, while there, were loose. They were no longer connected to the binding. So this thing was pretty rough. It still sold for $33.99 with free shipping. It was a massive book. I think it was like 16 by 12 by about 3 inches thick. So this did cost a little bit to get shipped out, but it was still a very profitable item because, again, I own it for a quarter. And now the flip of the week. That quick, we're done. 8 items and boom. This was a cool Cold War era item, Soviet naval tactics. I was going through a bunch of kind of 80s and 90s Navy books. Most of them were just, picture books that weren't really worth a whole lot of money. I pulled this one out and I was like, here's another $5 book. And I looked it up and lo and behold, there were solds anywhere from $65 to about $100. I listed this thing for $99.99 or best offer. It was up for less than a week. I got an offer from somewhere in Europe for $85 with free shipping. Again, global shipping program. I only had to pay to get it shipped to Kentucky, to the Global Shipment Center, where eBay takes over. I'm sure they collected shipping from the buyer to get it from their center over to Europe. But this was, again, from that lot that I owned for a quarter. So really nice flip. Your flip of the week, $85 out of a quarter. So that's going to wrap it up for today. A nice, short, concise little what sold on eBay. Like I said, it was a really good week. I still did my normal about $1,300, but it was a lot of, 2 book lots for $12 and $13 and CDs under $15 and stuff like that. So it was a really busy week of packing and shipping a bunch of small items. Let me know what kind of your strategy is on that. Do you like the small, easy to pack, easy to ship stuff like CDs and media, or are you the kind of person who prefers the bigger, more expensive items that you get a little more bang for your buck with your effort? I'm going to do an episode, if not this weekend, probably next, where I talk about the different ways you can measure your business and business metrics, which ones I think are more important than others, and why they're all relatively important. So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, I hope you are having a great week. Great sales. I hope you had a great Black Friday weekend and Cyber Monday and all of that. And with that, it is time to sell. Thanks, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for spending a little time with Galaxy CDs, rocks, and flips. If you'd like to spend a little more time, there's another video in the upper right-hand corner. If you'd like to spend a lot more time, you can subscribe down below.